it's a lot of the same things because
Mhm.
you're extremely effective in the house too. And then we'll go to obviously to the fact that you find an absurd amount and move an absurd amount of money. But if we're if we're in the home, what are some of the things that you do in the house? Because you say that the training is different and you'll find more opportunities, and a lot of that training at this point in everybody's career kind of comes from you and the things that you've curated. So, but what are some of the things that you do in the house to set yourself apart and set yourself up for success?
So my my approach, which has changed over the years, it changed. Obviously, senior citizens have always kind of gotten scammed, or always been a target for scams. But it seems like everybody now is kind of a target for scams. And then you got the whole coronavirus thing. So for some reason, I changed my approach in the home, like I think ever since last March. And I don't mean I changed my whole in home. What I mean is I changed how I set the table when I go in. So I do this every single time without fail. And you can change the wording, of course, to make it your own. But this is what I do all the time. I get into the home. I say, hey, my name is Danielle Byrne. I have a full insurance practice here in Chesapeake, Virginia. This is my card. On the one side of my card, you're going to see my personal state license number, and you're going to see my corporate license number. And then on the other side of the card, you're going to see all my contact information. And then I take the pressure off immediately. And I say, even if I don't end up helping you today with mortgage protection or final expense, whatever the reason is I'm there. Even if I don't end up helping you today, I want you to know I'm right down the street. You guys can always call if you have questions about Medicare, you have questions about regular life insurance. I'm just a phone call away. So I just want you guys to know that you'll always have a contact instead of calling an 800 number. And 9 times out of 10, they always go, oh my gosh, that's so great, blah, 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 because we hate calling them. We have a question about Medicare, blah, 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 blah. Just don't let it derail you from that moment, because then they're going to start telling you about their brother that's in a nursing home and, all this other stuff. And the truth is you do want to help them to the degree that you can, but you don't want it to take you off track, because obviously it can. So I do that immediately, and I take it away almost too, because I'm just letting them know, like, if I don't end up helping you today, this is my information for the future. So I do that immediately. Then of course, keeping the chatter down. I don't do like I used to do, where I used to like try to find common ground and like chit chat and everything. Cause now at this point I can find that common ground. I can chit chat while I'm asking questions. I don't need to, go over to the Wall of Fame and look at all the grandkids or anything like that. I really don't do that anymore. So if it's husband and wife, or just, husband or wife, I'll just say, so again, I'm contracted and licensed by the state. I've got about, at any time, 15 to 20 companies that I work with. There are no medical exams, but there are medical questions. So it's important that I don't try to fit a square peg into a round hole. I'm going to definitely ask you some questions today that are going to help me to make a professional recommendation for you. Once I make a good professional recommendation for you, my goal is that you understand it and that it fits in your budget and doesn't take food off the table. Does all that make sense? And then they usually say yes, because it does. But I think that the way I remember somebody saying they handed their card when they walked into a home. And for me, for some reason, I kind of cringed when I heard that. It felt so cheesy to me. But there is something about doing it now that I almost rely on, and for some reason makes them feel more comfortable. I have no idea why people think if you have a business card that you are legitimate, but they do. And everybody can get them on Vistaprint. Everybody can get them everywhere. But for some reason, if you have a business card, I don't know, you got your life together apparently. So that's the impression that I get from these people. So I'll kind of pause there real quick in case you got anything you want to expound on, and that way.
No, I mean, you eliminate, and I don't know if everybody else caught it, but you eliminate so many objections by setting the table the way that you do. The I want to think about it. The I need to look at my budget. Like so many objections are eliminated before you even start. Aside from, and I never give my card either. Probably the same reason you shied away from it. I never did it because I never heard anybody that I liked enough say it. So now I'm going to start doing it. but there's just so much that you eliminated that makes probably the rest of your in-home kind of not like taking candy for a baby, but that much more, I guess, that much more pleasurable, for lack of a better way to put it, because
Yeah.
there's less pushback throughout.
Yeah, and it's a much nicer, process. And, the other thing that comes with experience that if I could like hand it to you on a platter, you probably still wouldn't take it. And I'm not talking about you, Wayne. I'm talking about like, your newer people, is that you always have to remember a few things. When you ask about current life insurance and they tell you what they have, they're wrong. Okay. There's going to be one out of 5,000 people that know exactly what they have. I can't emphasize that enough. That is why it makes sense to get those policies out. It is so important. And if you have somebody that says to you, well, why does this matter? Or, well, why is that important? Or they want to question you at all, you have to reposition yourself as a professional and say, listen, I'm regulated by the state. If I make a recommendation on insurance, I have to have a baseline for what you've already got in place. Yes, I understand this is mortgage protection insurance. I understand that that's life insurance. I still need to make a professional recommendation. And a lot of times though, when you present yourself like that in the beginning with that level of confidence, they're usually not questioning it. And there's going to be a time where that you did everything right when they start pulling out stuff and asking you about it, and you have no idea. Like I had a client that was pulling out like his life alert bill. Like, well, can you tell me what to do with this? Like, and I'm like, no, that, but that's how you've earned their trust, is they just start pulling stuff out. Well, wait, does this mean anything, or does that mean anything? And that's how you kind of know you've made that transition into being trustworthy. And a lot of times too, you have to remember, when people say that they're fine, they have no idea what they're talking about. They don't know fine. They know being a mechanic. They know being a shipyard worker. They know being a nurse. They know all of the different, careers that we see these people. But I mean, I was in a home with another agent recently, and they just kept saying over and over and over again how fine they were. And then I don't know what happened, but something broke through. And I mean, when I tell you statements started coming out, the one guy was paying $443 a month for an IUL. The wife was paying $250 a month for an IUL. They had annuities that had caps on them that should be against the law. They had some other term insurance. I mean, it's crazy how for some reason, when you get past that barrier, then they just start flooding all of this stuff, onto you. I know that when you're there and you're new in the beginning, you're trying to get a check, you're trying to get that original sale, but you don't have anything if you don't have trust.